What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we got an OCG ban list. So yeah, I never like to just assume our ban lists are going to be the exact same as an OCG ban list, but I think it can give us insight into what we potentially might see on our next ban list. Keep in mind, guys, ours is set to be no sooner than to go into action no sooner than the 30th of this month. So we're kind of like potentially 2 weeks away from being, able to get a ban list. So I think it's pretty good timing here to look at some of this stuff. But before we get into that real quick, this may give us some insight on what we're going to see on here. But we have a Makiura the Destructor errata. I think it's just something here. We can see if this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can activate this effect once during this turn. You can activate a trap card from your hand. I think what it mainly is you can only use this card name's effect once per turn. So it's just a hard once per turn now. So you can't just keep looping him and then using I don't even know what the loop was because it's so old now at this point, but you just can't do the loop anymore, I believe, because it's just a once per turn now. And then we also have Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, which is just the same thing. You can only special summon a card with this card's name once per turn, and by the first effect, and you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn as well. So you really only get two. You can only get one revival off this card. There's no summoning it, linking it off, or summoning it, reviving something, then linking it off, and then reviving it back, and then reviving another card, and just looping it, 2-3 times in a turn for endless extra bodies. I think this is a really good errata, and plus new artwork that looks really clean. I like that a lot. All right, but then for the real juice, the actual ban list. So we're going to start with the forbidden cards here. We'll scoot this up to there. All right, what is forbidden? We've got Jin, the Releaser of Rituals. This is one that's been banned for a long time in the TCG. So the OCG is a little bit late to this one. It's fine. It's fine. Apparently it was starting to become a problem a little bit more recent, so they're just trying to nip it in the bud, but it hasn't been for so long. Then we have Guard Dragon Elpie. That's another interesting one because it's a link mechanic, whereas the links aren't the ones getting the buffs, but I guess the links can facilitate, especially stuff like the Guard Dragon can help facilitate the other mechanics a little easier. So I guess I get it. Rockets are a very strong deck. A lot of players in the TCG have been going to Rockets. A lot of the players that like those combo high ceiling decks have been going to Rockets, so I guess this is why that is there. Pretty brutal though for Dragon decks. They lost Agripane and Elpie. And then Ib, the World Chalice Justiciar. Again, this is another one that we hit a while ago. Not too surprised to see it here. I think a lot of people, when we saw it get released, were like, that card's insane. That card is not sticking around for too long. It's just too combo pushing. It pushes too many decks too far. As far as the combos they're able to do and how much advantage you get off of just one card. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the forbidden. Pretty small forbidden list, not gonna lie. But then we move to the limited, and that's where we're gonna see everything. All right, so first things first, we have ABC Dragon Buster, and I'm also gonna let you guys know Union Hanger is also kind of hidden down here. You can see it. We'll talk about those at once. This I was really surprised about because I thought it almost felt like Konami was trying to push ABCs out a little bit. But I guess the OCG might be a little bit ahead of us on that because they already have Eternity Code and stuff, and I believe they already have Union Driver and the Machina structure deck that has the one quick play spell that makes that deck better, as well as Union Carrier. Yeah, those 3 cards. So we've been getting we know that there were 3 cards coming for ABCs to make them better, but this just turns off their game straight up. I guess you could still just make a buster and then try to grind with the pieces, but you just can't go back into another buster, and you just try and make link plays or whatever off of the ABC pieces after you go through the buster, or try and play some cards that can shuffle back a buster. I don't know exactly what your goal would be there, but we only have one buster now and one Union Hanger. Hanger is a severe hit, but at least the quick play does kind of help make up for that. And you can still play Terraforming, so you really only lost 2 copies of Hanger, so from 4 copies to 2 copies. But yeah, definitely a severe hit to them. We have Galatea, the Orcus Automaton, and Orcus Harp Horror. I don't believe either of these were hit in the OCG before this, so Orcus has kind of just been like one of the, if not the best deck, like right alongside like the Red Eyes Dragoon type decks. So it's interesting to see these get put on here now at 1-1, because like Galatea 1 is like kind of iffy for the deck. I feel like I'd feel iffy because Galatea is like so good, and like if your opponent negates your Galatea now, like you're like, oh, so now I don't get to the field spell, and now I can't even like set up anything legit. Pretty rough. So, and then Harp obviously, but at 1 I think it's still fine because you're usually just looking forward to like get your turn 1 play started. Obviously losing the extra copies hurts your grind game a little bit, but that's about it. Then we have Junk Speeder here. This is one that needed to be on here. I think he's a once per turn though, so I guess it just kind of limits that deck in terms of grindability. You may be able to set up like a really nasty board, but if your opponent is able to break it, you are going to be in a really awkward spot without being able to make like another Junk Speeder. Like that kills like your follow-up play, I guess. You can't go into another Junk Speeder and just get another like huge special of Synchrons and stuff. But regardless, still card's still there, so you can still play it. We'll see how that goes for those decks. Definitely one of the people's big worries though for the new Master Rule. Machiuri the Destructor, he's got the new errata. It's fine, whatever. Spiral Quick Fix going to 1. I believe this was at 2 for them, so this going to 1 is actually a mini hit, but I don't know what else they have hit on their list for spirals. I don't know. So we'll have to see on that. Oh, ooh, bless me. Sorry. Next up we have 2 wind-up cards. We have Wind-Up Carrier Zenmaity and Wind-Up Magician. I don't know if these were banned or not banned. If these are like getting banned or they were banned and they're releasing them for Master Rule 5. I'm gonna assume that they weren't banned. And Konami's saying like these need to be limited a little bit, this deck, because this deck has such a high ceiling. You can rip a bunch of cards out of your opponent's hand. That's never a fair thing. We've already seen Gumblar and other cards like that come out of the game because it's just too good. So yeah, Magician and Zenmaity at 1, interesting. We have Dragoon of Red Eyes here. We'll also talk about 2 other ones. Let's see. Dragoon of Red Eyes, we're going to say Predaplant Verte Anaconda at 1, and Predaplant Orphis Scorpio at 1, and where's the last one? Red Eyes Fusion, all at 1. So what this is I think, is really trying to eliminate that as an entire deck and almost like make that engine more bricky. You could say like it's not really that much more bricky because you can just still make Verte Anaconda, but it takes away the grindability of being able to make multiple Red Eyes of Dragoon. If your opponent does out 1, making a second one is really like pretty much impossible now. Well, literally impossible unless you shuffled 1 back, I guess, somehow. But really kills like the grindability, whereas like before was like a deck because you made 1 and then you could like just potentially make another one, but now you cannot do that. You make 1 and you could still play it. It still is probably worth playing it just because Verte Anaconda is so generically easy to make. But you can't make multiple in a duel, and you're severely limited. So it almost makes it not like a full-on deck anymore. It's an even smaller package for decks, which I think is better. I think is going to make that a little better for players overall. So there's those. We have TG Hyper Librarian. We know why this card is nuts in Master Rule 5. They're just synchro spam decks that can literally go through 3 in a turn. You draw 3 cards, and like that's not okay. You can't draw 3 cards. Next up is Cyberstein. This one went to 1. I don't know if they still have this banned or if they put this at more than 2. I don't know what they did with this guy. I guess the argument is like in Master Rule 4, even if you used him, you still would have to send it to the extra monster zone, so there could be some, clogging issues there. You would be forced in like a lot of combos to like link that monster off or something. But I guess now it's like even better because you don't have to worry about clogging extra monster zones. Sorry, I just woke up. I'm pretty tired. But you don't have to worry about clogging that extra monster zone now, so I guess that brings down his usability or something. I don't know. Yeah, I think still think he's good. Then we have Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Bear. There's a lot of one people have been calling for in the TCG as well. This just is really, really good. If you can loop this, it's going to be game. Like, if you can do this multiple times in a turn, it's going to be like the end of the game pretty much. Trish is very powerful. Totally Awesome is another one with Bahamut Shark. A lot of people were scared of this. This is mainly a hit to like Paleos and then decks that want to abuse Bahamut Shark. But the one thing I would say about that is you can still play 2 Bahamut Shark, and when Toad hits the graveyard from like tributing it or sending itself, I don't know if it tributes or sends, sending itself to like negate a card, he does have the float effect that adds a water, like a, what is it, a water or an aqua back to hand. He can do himself, so he can just shuffle himself back to deck immediately. So you can reload another one. I think the main thing is a power ceiling, though. So the grindability to be able to go into another one is there, but you cannot just like drop 2 on the board. I think is like the main thing people are worried about, which is not the end of the world. I guess it forces like Paleo players to like try and end on the other Paleozoic XZs alongside Toad instead of multiple Toad, which is fine. They're decent, especially paired up with Toad. But I think that's fine. I think that's about right. Link Cross, another monster that we've seen, can be very, very strong with synchros because he just like, you link off a link 4 for it after, I don't know, like using Saryuja, and then you just get like 4 extra tokens, and then those can't be used for link summoning, but they can be used just for like synchro spamming, which is pretty crazy. So definitely good card in Link Cross, but I think at 1 it takes away like decks that just want to use it over and over again, so you just get it once. Okay, pretty good. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, we saw this in the erratum, so it's totally fine. Instant Fusion to 1, this is another one a lot of players are calling for in the TCG, not because it's busted, but they think it will be busted, or they think it could be really good, so they don't think it should be at 3. So Instant Fusion to 1 here makes sense, because then it like kind of deters you. You're like, are you really going to use up extra deck slots for a 1-of? And you pay life points for it. It's up to you. I mean, like, it's just one of those things. Like, is it even worth it anymore of even playing those cards in your deck? Next star, Trickstar Light Stage. I believe before they had Light Stage at 3, and I think they had Candina at 1 or 2 for Trickstars in the OCG, but they decided to go Light Stage to 3, which is interesting there. That's what I'd like to see in the TCG, honestly, but we'll have to see where this comes up. But I think part of this was with the Red Eyes as one of the favorite engines to abuse with the Red Eye stuff, because they could put 2 monsters on board with 1 card, like with multiple 1 cards in their deck. So they're trying to like, they can get this back because the Red Eye stuff is getting hit also. Brilliant Fusion to 1. Did they have Brilliant Fusion at more than 1, or was it banned for them? I don't even know, but that's really interesting as well. I'm curious how busted this will be in their format. We already talked about Union here. We already talked about Red Eyes. And then we have Gateway of the 6. This is another one. I'm not sure if they had this banned or if this was at more than 1. I think it was at more than 1. And I think they're just worried that, like, because 6 Samurais don't, like, they won't have to go through a Link monster now, that they can just kind of go. They can just go into however many Exceeds or Synchros or whatever without worrying about it. So I guess they get a little power buff there, so they wanted to give them a little power nick here with Gateway of the 6. And then we move to the semi-limited cards. That's huge limited cards. Look how many limited cards, guys. Crazy. Semi-limits, definitely here Malicious. I 100% believe Malicious should have stayed semi-limited in the TCG. I don't actually love the semi-limited list, like a lot of people don't, but I do think there are certain cards like Malicious that I think its perfect niche is right there in semi-limited, because, like, yeah, if you get 1 engraved, you do get a free body, but getting 2 free bodies, it's probably too much. You don't even have to get this card on board, you just have to get it to graveyard, which is so easy in so many decks. And, like, heroes are strong, man. Heroes are already good. Like, I don't think they need the boost, but so yeah, I think Malicious should be at 2 in any format, in my opinion. Draconet, another one kind of just abused by all those like cards, but this is like mainly a thing with Ib. So with Ib gone, we don't really care about Draconet anymore. It could be a good combo starter in the future, but like we can face that when we get there. Danger Jackalope and Danger Nessie both going to 2. We already have actually Nessie's only at 1 now. But yeah, we've already seen the Dangers starting to get hit here. They just got the Dangers way later than us, so this is them kind of catching up there. And Symbol of the Heritage is another weird card. I think it's like a weird Monster Reborn, but you have to have 3 monsters of the same exact name in your graveyard, so I don't even know like what decks would be abusing that 100%. So that's like a really weird one. Why was that hit before, or is that now hit? I don't even know why that was ever a thing, but okay. Then we get to the unlimited. So stuff that went from hit to not hit. We have Trickstar Candina. So they decided to release Light Stage and... Well, oh, I'm sorry. They decided to hit Light Stage, and now they're going to release Candina. So they had Light Stage at 3 before, now it's at 1, and now they're swapping to our format, putting Candina to 3, Light Stage to 1. Unfortunately, that's like so brutal. Trickstars really struggle with consistency when they don't have Light Stage at 3. So, yeah, it's kind of tough. It's pretty tough for them. Light Stage over Candina every day, 100%. Ash Blossom, I believe they had Ash at 2 going to 3 here. That's really nice for them. I think like it was one of those things where like people like it was just 3 of Ash Blossom in like every single deck, so they wanted to promote for more like deck building, I don't know, differences in the game. But yeah, at 3 because there's so many more good hand traps now. Baby Sarasaurus, they're kind of just pushing dinosaurs, I guess, there, which is pretty cool. Necroz of Unicorn, really trying to get Necroz back up and running again. And then Lady Debug. There's so many cyber stacks, and I guess they just want to like support those, get those even more hyped, you know, going forward. And they don't think they're like too busted now. Salamangreat has enough hits that like Debug is fine to come back and stuff. But yeah, that's our that's the OCG's April 1st, 2020 ban list. It's really crazy. There's a lot of limits here. A lot of limits make sense. Some of them are kind of interesting to me, but I guess Konami has a reason for everything there, and they have an R&D team that can probably know more and I don't know, expect more and I don't know, do a better job than I can by myself of just like anticipating what the format's going to look like come the new rule changes. But yeah, there's a pretty big ban list. I wouldn't be surprised if ours is really big as well, because we have a lot of these cards as well that could be problematic. Toad, the ABC stuff, I don't know, Instant Fusion, all that stuff that Konami might be worried about. So this could give us some insight on what we're going to see on our list. But yeah, this is what the OCG's list is going to look like for the next couple months. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below on this. If this was our ban list, how okay would you feel with all of these cards getting hit? And yeah, so let me know your thoughts down below, guys, on that. I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching as always, and subscribe if you have not yet. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.